it's Dafina from Dollars Plus Cents. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to talk about when should I be saving or when should I be paying off debt? Like, which is best? I know when I started my financial freedom journey, I really struggled with this because I had a whole lot of debt that I was so eager to attack. But at the same time, I also had some other financial goals that I wanted to save for. And I really struggled with answering the question, which is best, saving or paying off debt? And to be honest, the short answer is it depends on where you are in your financial journey. So today I want to discuss that and hopefully help you decide what's best for you. Okay, so let's discuss when is it best to be saving. You should be focused on saving money if you do not have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is basically money that you set aside to cover you for any unforeseen circumstances. An example of that would be if you get fired or during a government shutdown. That's a good example because you were like temporarily laid off. And you don't want to rely on credit cards in those situations because all you're doing is digging yourself in a deeper hole, a hole that you just got out of, and nobody wants to go back to that. So I think it's best for you to have money set aside in the event that something bad were to happen. So how much do you need in your emergency fund? It's best for you to have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Now, I know some of you guys out there are like, oh my gosh, that's like $30,000 for me. Like, there's no way that I can save that. Now, I don't mean, when I say expenses, I don't mean like your regular monthly expenses, like what you would spend if it's a regular month. I mean necessities, like things you need to survive. And that would be like your rent, groceries. I'm not talking about cable, even though cable might feel like a necessity. That is not a necessity. I'm not talking about dining out with your friends or going on vacations. I'm talking about things that you need to survive. Because if it's an emergency, you really shouldn't be dining out anyway or taking any vacations, okay? So I hope that makes sense. At the very least, I want you to have $1,000 before you consider attacking your debt. I mean, I cannot stress enough how important it is to have an emergency fund. So please, at the very least, have $1,000 before attacking debt. Now, when should you be focused on paying off your debt? If you already have your emergency fund set up, you want to focus on paying off high interest debt. Any debt that's over 8%, in my opinion, is considered high interest. And the reason why I say 8% is historically, if you were to invest your money in the stock market, you would have gotten about an 8% return on your money. So I think if you have any debt that's higher than 8%, that's a better return on your money than it would be to be saving or investing. I'll give you an example. If I have a credit card at a 15% interest rate, I'm better off paying off that interest rate because a guaranteed return of 15% than I would be if I were to save or invest my money somewhere else. And granted, you can invest your money and maybe even get higher than 15%, but it's not a guarantee. No investment is a guarantee, but paying off your debt is a guaranteed return. Okay, so that's why I think it's really important to focus on any high interest debt before saving for other financial goals. Now, sometimes you want to do both, or you should do both, I should say. I'll give you an example. There's two reasons when you should do both. If you have a company that is willing to contribute to your retirement, so for example, your company has a 401k and they say for every dollar you contribute to your retirement account, we'll match that. Or for every dollar that you contribute, we'll put 50 cents. So for every dollar you give, we'll give 50 cents. Every dollar you give, we'll even give you 25 cents. In that case, I would focus on saving for retirement because if you don't, you're leaving free money on the table. Like, it's just as important to be saving as it is to be paying down your debt. Even if you have high interest debt, I would try my best to also save because you're leaving free money on the table. All right. So that's one example where you would want to do both. Another example where you would want to do both is if you no longer have any high interest debt. If you don't have any high interest debt, you can do both. You may want to pay down any low interest debt you have, like a mortgage or student loan, and save for some other financial goal like buying a house. Or you may want to focus on one or the other. I'll give you one of my personal stories. When I was going through my financial journey, I paid off all my high interest debt like I recommend to you. But I had some low interest debt, like my student loans, which I did not pay off. Of course, I did have some high student loans, which I did pay off, but I had some low interest student loans that I decided to keep because the interest rate was so low that I just felt like it didn't make sense to pay it off. My interest rate was like 2 point something percent. In today's market, if I were to even put that money in a CD, I would get a higher return on my money than if I were to pay off my student loans. So in that case, I decided to hold on to my student loans, but invest my money somewhere where it can work more for me. Now, if you're someone who just hates debt, you're like a Dave Ramsey follower, and no matter what type of debt, all debt is bad debt to you, then I get it. You should just go ahead and pay off your debt because that's what makes you more comfortable. You are where you need to be in your financial journey, that you can do both, or you can focus on just paying off your debt. They're both on the same level. They're both on the same footing at this point of your financial freedom journey. All right, so I hope that helps you guys. Let's just recap really quickly so everything is clear of what I'm trying to say. You want to be saving, number one, if you do not have an emergency fund. That is the most important thing. That's your priority. Saving is the most important in that situation. Once you have your emergency fund, now I want you to focus on paying any high interest debt. High interest debt is a priority over any other financial goals you're trying to save for. Okay? And lastly, you can do both if A, your company contributes to your retirement account, they match whatever contribution you give, or B, you no longer have any high interest debt and you want to focus on one or the other. All right, guys, I hope that helps. Please take my financial freedom quiz. I would love to see where my audience stands in their financial journey. I just love to see where everyone is because it helps me serve you. It helps me know if you're further along. I no longer need to provide like basic education, but if you're getting started, then I know not to do anything too advanced. And I think it also helps you to know if you're on the right track. So please go ahead and sign up for my financial freedom quiz or just subscribe to my blog. I would love to hear from you guys. All right, thanks for listening to me today, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.